Find the slope of the line that passes through the given points. Remember, we find the difference in the y values and subtract the difference in the x values. So here, the second y value is 4. The first y value is -2. Then we're going to divide by the second x value minus the first x value. When I have minus a negative, we can think of that as adding the opposite. 4 plus 2 is 6, and -2 plus 2 is 0. If you try to type that into your calculator, that's going to give you a divide by 0 error, which means that it is an undefined slope. If the 0 was on the top, then it would just have a slope of 0. If it came out to numbers, you could simplify the fraction and write it as a regular slope. For problems 1 and 2, write an equation of the line represented by the table. So we're going to write an equation, and the two pieces that we need for writing the equation in slope-intercept form are the slope and then where it crosses the y-axis. So here, if we were to try and find the difference in the y values, 2 minus 1 is 1. 0 minus -4 would be 4. So the slope on this one is 1/4. And it crosses the y-axis at the point 0, 2. For this one, 6 minus 4 is 2. 5 minus 2 is 3. But this one has a slope of 2/3. But we don't have the y-intercept listed in our table. So I'm going to place a b here, and then I'm going to solve it for b to finish up my equation. I'm going to plug in one of these points to help me figure out what b is. The x is going to go in the x position, and the y is going to go in the y position. Two times 2/3 is 4/3. If I subtract 4/3 from both sides, well, 4 could be rewritten as 12/3. So 12/3 minus 4/3 leaves us with 8/3. So in our equation, this should say 8/3. Consider the line represented by the table in problem 2. What is the height of triangle PST? So we're going to put in additional points here. I don't know what the x value is, but I do know it's the same height here, so it has a 4 in the y position. So it says, what is the height of this triangle? And label it on the graph. Well, the height would be the difference between this y value and the 4. What is the base of the triangle? Well, it would be this x value minus 2. Write a proportion relating the values of the height to base ratio of PQR and PST. Well, let's see. We have the height is y minus 4. The base is x minus 2. And if we were to figure out the height and base ratio for P and Q, this is 3 across, and from 4 to 6, that's a height of 2. Rewrite the portion from part C as a linear equation, so we can cross multiply. That would be 3 times y minus 4 equals 2 times x minus 2. And then I can divide both sides by 3, which would leave us with y minus 4, and this would be 2/3 x minus 2. You can see here that the slope would have been 2/3, so there's a slope represented in here. And there's also a point that uses 2 and 4. What is the height of triangle PST? So we're going to put in some more points here. That matches this x coordinate, but it uses the y value from here. So what is the height? That would be y minus y1. What is the base? That would be x minus x1. Write a proportion relating the values of the height to base ratio. We have the height and base. If we put in another slope triangle in here, it would be the slope and the distance of 1. And then we can cross multiply. So this is m times x minus x1. And this would be 1 times that, which is just y minus y1. So you can see that we've created what's called the point slope form. It's a different format for writing lines on the graph. These y values and x values are going to be our variables, but then the y1 and x1 are going to come from the point, and the m is going to be the slope. So there's that formula, and it has the name point slope form. So like I said, the y and the x are going to stay, but the y1 is going to come from a point. The m is going to be from the slope. X is going to stay, but x1 is going to come from the point. So this is the point slope form of the line that passes through 7, 5, and has a slope of 4. The y value is a 9. The slope is 4/5. The x value is a -2. So if you have a minus a -2, you could rewrite that. Subtracting a negative is the same as adding the opposite. So you could rewrite it as +2. Consider the equation y minus 3 equals 1/2 x minus 1. Identify a point on the line and the slope of the line represented by the equation. Well, the slope is in front of the parentheses, so the slope is 1/2. And the point, we subtracted 1, that's the x value, and we subtracted 3, which was the y value. Then it says to graph the equation. So we're going to go over 1 and up 3 to get to that point. And then for the slope, we're going to go up 1 and over 2. and draw a line connecting those for the graph. So here I have the slope and the M position is -2. Here it's not minus a 4. So if we're subtracting, in order to get a positive, you would be subtracting -4. And then this one is subtracting 3. So our x value is 3, and our y value is actually a -4. Then it says to graph the equation. So we're going to start at the point 3, -4. And then the slope tells us to go down 2 and over 1. We always move to the right. Just like when you're reading a book. You start on the left and move to the right. So here I have a slope of 2/3. The point, the x value, is the opposite, so -5 and -1, because we have plus. But in our template, it should be a subtraction. So we have to use the opposite of 5 and the opposite of 1. So we're going to go -5, -1. Then we are going up 2 and over 3. And we'll graph a line through those points. Identify the slope of the line and one point on the line. That's the point, or that's a point. Here's another point. So the slope looks like we go up 2, and right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which can be reduced to 1/4. And the coordinates of this point are 3, 6. So we have y minus the y value equals m, which is the slope, times x minus the x value. Here, write an equation of the given line. So the two things we need are a point and the slope. This is the point 3, -4. Here's another point. So the slope is down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right 4. Which can be reduced to -3/2. So we'll have y minus the y value equals the slope times x minus the x value. If you have a minus a negative, we'll change that to plus, just to kind of clean up that equation a little bit. Please make sure lesson 22 is filled in your book.